When you picture the Kaaba, you probably see that incredible image, right? A single, perfect cube at the very center of this swirling galaxy of millions of pilgrims. It's a sight known all over the world. But behind that iconic image is a history stretching back 5,000 years, filled with secrets, destruction, and reinvention. So let's just jump right in with a wild thought. What if I told you that for centuries, the most famous cube on the planet wasn't actually a cube at all? And look, this isn't just about geometry. This one little fact is the key to unlocking the entire forgotten history of the Kaaba. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to unpack that incredible story. We'll start with its very first design, the primordial blueprint. Then we'll cover its darkest chapter, filled with idols, and the new dawn that followed. We'll trace its unbelievable cycle of change, and finally, we'll unlock the secrets of the cube itself. All right, let's start at the very beginning. To really get the Kaaba, you have to understand its original purpose, its primordial blueprint.
You see, in Islamic tradition, the Kaaba is called Beit Allah, literally, the house of God. It's believed to be the very first house of worship on earth, set up by Adam himself. But it wasn't just built as a structure, it was meant to be a sacred center point for all of humanity.
The lineage here is just profound. Tradition says Adam laid that very first foundation. But, over thousands of years, that original building was lost to time. Then, God commanded the prophet Ibrahim, that's Abraham in the Judeo-Christian world, and his son Ismail to find those exact same original foundations and rebuild. They raised the walls again, and in doing so, they established the sanctuary of Mecca.
But the story takes a really dramatic turn from there. This sacred house was, it was desecrated. And this is a period a lot of people just don't know about. Its time as a center for pagan worship.
And the contrast here is just staggering. Before the Prophet Muhammad, the Kaaba was filled, stuffed, with 360 idols. Each one represented different gods for the various tribes, and the main one was named Habal. The whole place was controlled by the powerful Quraysh tribe as this major pagan pilgrimage site. Then comes the conquest of Mecca. Prophet Muhammad purifies the Kaaba, destroying every single idol inside, and rededicated it to the worship of the one God. He basically hit the reset button, taking it back to its original purpose, a truly pivotal moment in world history. But that purification, that wasn't the end of its transformations, not by a long shot. In fact, one of the most shocking truths about the Kaaba is that this is a building that has, time and time again, just refused to die. It survived floods, fires, and outright destruction. Just look at this timeline. It shows what a turbulent life this building has led. So after Ibrahim and Ismail, you have the Quraysh rebuilding it around 608 CE. But, and this is the crucial part, they ran out of money and proper materials, so they made it smaller. They basically gave it the cube shape we know today. A bit later, after a fire, a companion of the Prophet named Ibn Zubayr rebuilt it on Ibrahim's original, larger, rectangular foundations. But just a few years after that, a ruler, Hajjaj ibn Yusuf, demolished that version and switched it back to the smaller, cube shape of the Quraysh. And those are the dimensions it still has today. So you've got to be asking, where did the rest of the original Kaaba go? Well, you see that semicircular walled area right next to the cube? That's called the Hijr Ismail, and that area is actually part of the original larger foundation that Ibrahim laid. This is why, when pilgrims pray inside that little marked-off space, they are, for all intents and purposes, praying inside the original Kaaba. Okay, so this brings us to the structure itself. We've talked about its history, we've talked about its shape, but now let's go where very few people ever get to go, inside, to uncover the secrets of the cube. I mean, this is the big one, right? The question everyone has. After all that history, all the changes, all the rebuilding, what is actually inside the Kaaba today? Well, the interior is surprisingly simple, and it's said to be incredibly serene. There are no idols, no statues, no thrones, nothing like that. What you'll find are three large wooden pillars holding up the roof, a small table they use for incense, and these beautiful gold and silver lamps hanging from the ceiling. The walls are covered in inscribed marble, and there's a small staircase that leads up to a hidden room and the roof. Its power really doesn't come from what's inside, but from what it represents. But the Kaaba's secrets aren't all locked away on the inside. Embedded in its eastern corner is its most famous and maybe its most mysterious feature, the black stone, a relic that Muslims believe came from the heavens. And the story of the stone itself is just astonishing. It was first placed in the corner of the Kaaba by a young prophet Muhammad way before his prophethood to settle a huge dispute between the tribes. But, and a lot of people don't know this, in the year 930, it was stolen by an extremist group called the Karmatians, who thought the pilgrimage was just superstition. It was gone, vanished for 22 years before it was mysteriously returned. Today, it's held together securely at a pure silver frame. And here's another detail that just shocks most people. You're probably picturing a single smooth stone, right? Well, think again. The black stone isn't one solid piece. Over the centuries, through all that turmoil, it's been shattered. What you're seeing today are actually several fragments, all carefully pieced back together and held in that silver casing. It's a physical reminder of the long and often violent history it has survived. Now, draped over this entire structure is that magnificent black cloth you see, the kiswa. And this thing is not just a cover, it is a masterpiece. It weighs hundreds of kilograms, and it's hand-embroidered with verses from the Quran using pure gold and silver thread. The entire tapestry is replaced in a special ceremony every single year, and the whole process cost over $6.5 million. That makes it one of the most expensive textiles in the entire world. So, when we look at the Kaaba, we're not just looking at a building. We're looking at a survivor. It has lived through floods, fires, the rise and fall of empires, and countless rebellions. For over 1.8 billion Muslims today, it's not just the center of the world. It is the direction of the heart. It's a single point on a map connecting this huge global community all the way back through 5,000 years of an eternal history.